The morning began like many others. The streets were already waking up. People hurried to work. Bicycles rolled across the old stone road. The city was full of movement, but no one seemed to notice the beauty around them. A young woman walked quietly through the narrow streets. She carried a small bag over her shoulder. Her steps were slow, but her mind was busy. She thought about everything she needed to do. There were so many plans, so many responsibilities, so many things waiting for her. Without realizing it, she walked past colorful flowers hanging from balconies. She walked past little birds singing in the trees. She even missed the warm sunlight shining through the old buildings. Sometimes life becomes so busy that we stop seeing the world around us. She sighed softly and looked down at the ground. Then something unexpected happened. A warm, wonderful smell filled the air. Fresh coffee. Warm bread, sweet pastries. She stopped walking. For the first time that morning, she looked up. On the corner of the quiet street stood a small cafe. It wasn't big, it wasn't modern, but it felt welcoming. Wooden windows were open. Colourful flowers surrounded the entrance. A little chalkboard stood outside. It simply said, "Good coffee." Warm hearts, slow moments, she smiled. It had been a long time since she had smiled without thinking. The cafe looked peaceful. Almost as if time moved more slowly there. She stood for a moment watching people inside. An elderly man quietly read a book. A young woman wrote in a notebook. The barista carefully prepared each cup of coffee with a gentle smile. Nobody seemed to be in a hurry. She took one slow breath, then another. The smell of fresh coffee mixed with the morning air. It felt comforting, warm, safe. She looked at the cafe door once more. Maybe, just maybe, the world could wait for a few minutes. She gently opened the wooden door. A little bell rang softly above her head. The warm light welcomed her inside. And somehow, she already felt lighter than she had just a few moments before. The cafe was warm and quiet. Soft music filled the room. It was slow, gentle, peaceful. She sat near the window. Outside, the city was still busy. People walked quickly. Cars passed by. Life continued at its usual pace. But inside the cafe, everything felt different. A kind barista walked over with a warm smile. "Here you are," he said softly. He placed a cup of fresh coffee on the table. Beside it was a warm, buttery croissant. The wonderful smell filled the air. She wrapped both hands around the warm cup. The heat slowly reached her fingers. It felt comforting. She closed her eyes for a moment. Then she took her first sip. The coffee was smooth and rich. It wasn't just coffee. It felt like a moment of rest. She looked around the cafe. Sunlight danced across the wooden floor. Small plants rested on every shelf. Old books stood quietly beside tiny candles. Fresh flowers smiled from a glass vase. Everything seemed simple, yet everything felt beautiful. Her eyes stopped on a small book lying on a nearby shelf. Its cover read, "The Art of Simple Living." She reached for it. The pages were old. The paper felt soft beneath her fingers. She opened the book slowly. The very first sentence caught her attention. "Peace begins the moment you slow down enough to notice it." She read it again, slowly. Then once more. A quiet smile appeared on her face. How many beautiful moments had she missed because she was always rushing? Maybe happiness had never been far away. Maybe she had simply been walking too fast to see it. She took another sip of coffee. Outside the window, sunlight touched the flowers. A small bird landed on the windowsill for just a second before flying away. She watched it with calm eyes. There was nothing special about that tiny moment, and yet it felt unforgettable. For the first time in a long while, she wasn't thinking about tomorrow. She wasn't worrying about yesterday. She was simply here, holding a warm cup of coffee, reading a good book, listening to the quiet rhythm of life. And somehow, that was enough. She slowly closed the book. For a moment, she simply sat in silence. The coffee was almost finished. The sunlight had become softer. The cafe was still peaceful. Nothing around her had changed, but something inside her had. She looked around one more time. The flowers on the table looked brighter. The warm light felt gentler. The quiet music sounded even more beautiful. She smiled without even noticing. Sometimes happiness doesn't arrive with big changes. Sometimes it quietly waits inside small moments. She stood up and carefully returned the book to its place. Before leaving, she thanked the kind barista. He smiled and said, "Have a beautiful day." She stepped outside. The street was exactly the same. People were still walking. Bicycles rolled past. The city was still busy. But now she saw something she hadn't noticed before. A little girl laughed as she chased a butterfly. Fresh flowers bloomed in the window boxes. A gentle breeze moved through the trees. Sunlight danced across the old stone road. She took a deep breath. The world had not become quieter. She had. She began walking home with slow, peaceful steps. There was no need to hurry. Life was already happening. Right here. Right now. She realized that peace is not a place you find. It is something you carry inside your heart. One warm cup of coffee. One quiet cafe. One beautiful book. And one peaceful morning had gently changed her whole day. She looked up at the bright blue sky and smiled. Because sometimes the smallest moments become the memories we treasure forever.